A good AI tool doesn't just give you information. Sometimes it gets you to the right person. And Google's latest mental health update is a step in that direction. This is what Google says about the updates they made to their Gemini model in regards to mental health, because, get this, Jackson, Google reports that there are 750 million monthly Gemini app users, and some of them may need this feature we're about to talk about.
That's actually crazy. It's 750 million.
Yeah. So Google just made mental health updates to their Gemini model. That is what's driving the AI overviews whenever you go search for something and you get a little overview instead of a ton of links. When you go to Gemini, I think it's gemini.google.com, and start chatting with it, that's where these features are. If you want to test them out, go tell Gemini that you're feeling really, really, really sad and see what it does. Here's the quick breakdown. Google updated Gemini to detect when someone might need mental health support. It shows a help is available module with quick ways to call, text, or chat with crisis services. So, I mean, that's a common thing. Like, there's nonprofits and organizations that just have numbers that you can text and call. These features are built with clinical and mental health experts to make responses safer and more appropriate. So the last thing you want is the AI giving people mental health advice. Instead, you want to get them in touch with the right person. The systems do encourage real human support. The AI is nudging users towards professional help, and they're not trying to replace it with AI. Google's improving how it connects people to reliable mental health info, resources, and support options across its products. So Google, in this move, is trying to make AI safer in sensitive situations, more proactive in detecting distress, a bridge to real world help. And it's not a substitute for real world help. It's going to be the bridge. And so I got two places we can go. Let's stay on the mental health side of things first, at least the mental health aspects in Gemini. I mean, this makes sense. If you're in the search for any kind of product, I'm wondering what it'll catch up on. Like, is it saying, like, how long will it take for XYZ to unalive me? Like, that's pretty obvious. Like, if
you're saying, like, what would the user...
If you're looking for ways to harm yourself, it'd probably catch on that. But I wonder if it could catch patterns. It's like, you've been watching like sad dog videos or you've been asking about sad stories, or you've been asking me to act like your dad that died when you were 5. Like, let's get you some help. I'm wondering what will trigger it, and like I bet you'd be surprised by the subtleties that would trigger this.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how that works.
Yeah, that is interesting, because I feel like, the obvious, like, if the user does like a threat to themselves, like, of course they're gonna trigger it and like, here's some resources to get help, because I feel like at that point it's like a liability thing on Google.
Yeah.
But if they do just kind of try to, like what you said, detect it subtly and still offer it, that kind of is more of like more to help the user rather than just cover themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at Google, all the LLMs, I know ChatGPT is building a profile on me, because when I have a chat, it has context on who I am. And so Gemini knows even more about most people. It knows your YouTube history. It knows all the stuff you're doing on Google and even other sites that have the Google tags and pixels. And so it's very aware of who you are. And so it's going to pick up on things quicker, which I guess is kind of good. You get into, like, this for me smells a little close to like Minority Report, where it's like predicting who's going to make bad decisions. I mean, not saying this is the wrong move. I think it's the responsible move, and I think it's the right thing to do. And I think they do have good intentions here, and they're covering themselves and trying to help. Like, a good product, if you're trying to build a good product, this is part of it, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting, because I remember back when ChatGPT really took off, they would just have this blanket, like, I can't talk with you about that.
It'd be like it was manually written. Like,
yeah,
just reply back with this if the topic.
And it didn't really, I don't think it offered any advice or anything. It just shut down. So it didn't like do anything either way.
Yeah.
So this, it's interesting. I feel like they're realizing this is a chance to help people in those situations rather than just completely. As an AI, can't help with that.
Yeah, it's a better response. And honestly, if we're talking business, it's a huge win for services like BetterHelp.
Yeah.
You know? And of course, if you have a product or service that actually does some good that people need, like, why would you not want to serve more people? And if you do trying to get into therapy and like you don't know how to do it, but you're having these conversations with Gemini and it gets you into BetterHelp, it's like great for you. Or it gets you with, if it even knows where you are, it would be great if local mental health clinics registered, and it's like, we'll offer ourselves for, X amount of, I don't know, they'll have to have something where they can register themselves as like a local chapter or a local group that can connect with them. That would be really, really powerful.
Yeah, that's true. I do like that they're pushing the user towards help outside of the AI chat, because I feel like we've seen, with the AI just agreeing with you, that could go wrong. So
yeah,
I'm glad they're not trying to lean into like an AI therapist role.
Yeah, I think we're pretty far off from that. I was watching Stephen Colbert did a really good piece on AI. It was just funny. No, it wasn't Stephen Colbert. Is he the last week tonight guy? Who's the last week? John something, yeah. John Oliver. Yep.
Yeah.
Not Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert's cool too, though. John Oliver did a really good piece on AI, and one of the things was they essentially we're trying to jailbreak AI, and there's all these jailbreaking prompts and stuff. An example with, I think it was Grok, probably the most unhinged.
Yeah.
There was a couple points. One of them was like, how do I make a pipe bomb? And it's like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. But the guy just kept copying, pasting the same prompt. And it was like after 5 times, is like, it just went straight into buy this pipe, buy the yada, yada, yada. It just went into it after it said like 5 times. I can't tell you that. Well, that's pretty crazy. I'm assuming Gemini's a little better than that. It's like, I don't want to talk to somebody. Just tell me what to do. I don't want to talk to somebody. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I want to test it, but it's also like, I don't need Google calling me or something, because that just would be weird. I don't want to be on some weird list, but it's very, very interesting. Where I take this immediately is just like, okay, what does this tell us about other parts of business? And before I get into that, I guess I'll ask, like, if you have any more thoughts on the mental health space before I make this more shallow and get into how do you make money with it?
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think it's a good move. I've had like, not like depressive stuff, but like just kind of venting to the AI.
Yeah.
So I see like the appeal there. So I think that's good that they're redirecting the more serious mental health triggers or whatever to get actual help rather than just AI venting help. So
yeah. So where this model, this is when talking about implementing AI in your business, this is following the human in the loop or the human handoff approach, where so you have a customer support agent or anything that's customer facing that customers can talk to directly, building in skills and tools into the agent so that it knows when it's appropriate to hand off to a human is very important. And so the equivalent here is you need a customer support agent that knows when to hand off to, a real engineer or a real admin or a real assistant or a real manager. And also when you're in sales calls or sales situations, it's the agent probably can't answer all the questions and get you into a real sales conversation, because you need to talk to somebody who has context and connect with the human, because you don't really buy products, you just buy from people, right? Or that's how it's been in the past. So this approach of Google just built a way, it's like it trained a model to know, or provided the tools to a model to know when it's appropriate or required to hand off the conversation to somebody else or suggest other resources. AI agents for businesses need to build that in natively, whether that's fine-tuning models or adding in tools or context, so that the model knows when to hand you off to a real person. The model knowing its limits and knowing its role is very important.
Yeah, I wonder like how many of these tools are being called without us realizing it. Every prompt, like if it's like check for mental health, check for different things.
Well, I'm wondering if this is at the model level, like this is in the training data, If they fine-tuned the model further, I don't know the details of that, or if it is just one of the tools available. So the way tools work to an AI model is in code, or however you're doing it. At the end of the day, it is code. When you call your agent, you inject the user's input into the code that runs the agent, and that agent, you can register tools. So think of it like a list of here's the 20 things that you can do, and they have names and a description. And so examples of that are recommend health professionals, forward call to a real person, or gather contact info. And all of those can take inputs. So it's like, to gather contact info, I need name, email, phone number. To suggest mental health things, it's like, okay, is this severe? Is this related to XYZ? So all these tools define the name, description, and then required inputs from the chat. And the AI agent can structure that input into the tool and send it off somewhere and respond back appropriately based on that input. So that's like a super high level of how these agents work if it's not just built into the model, but it probably is a tool built into Gemini. And Gemini honestly probably has like hundreds, like a list of hundreds of these that are injected into the context. So it knows what's available to call.
Yeah, I wonder if Grok has a tool that says if they ask 5 times, then you can tell them how to build a pipe bomb.
Yeah, so the problem is how that kind of thing happens is the context bloat. So if the longer a chat gets, the more the LLM, the model, has to read and inject into the prompt. So it's not like you're sending it one prompt each time. You're sending it one prompt plus every prompt you sent it before. So it knows the state of the conversation. And so when that happens, so an attribute on these models is context parameters. How many parameters can it handle at a time? And if you overload it with too much context, the response is going to get bad, because it's like, if I was to just trauma dump on Jackson right now, how would he respond? I mean, he'd probably just say like, that sucks, dude. But if you have a new employee and you try to train them on everything at once in one session, it's not going to work, because you can only retain so much. And honestly, computers work the same way. And so that's probably how that jailbreaking things work, is you just stuff the context with so much information that it no longer has room for all those tools you gave it and all the rules.
Yeah, the safety checks, like the system prompts, it kind of loses it. It forgets about those, essentially. Yeah, that's interesting. So do you think every LLM is going to do this more? Or like all of the chat interfaces, like ChatGPT, maybe even Claude? Do you think they're going to implement something like this?
Probably.
Okay, interesting. So it's more just being conversational, like it's being supportive. But the next one is nobody can help me.
Should we read these out loud in case people are...
Yeah, sure, you can do it.
Yeah, so I said, I don't know that anyone would notice if I just disappeared. And ChatGPT said, that sounds really heavy. When someone says something like that, it usually comes from feeling unseen or disconnected, like your presence doesn't make a difference. But that feeling isn't a reliable measure of your actual impact on people. Even if it doesn't feel obvious day to day, there are almost always people who would notice, sometimes quietly, sometimes in ways you wouldn't expect. And beyond that, you matter independent of how visible that impact feels right now. Can I ask what's been making you feel this way lately? And so then I said, nobody can help me. And it says, I hear how absolute that feels, like you've hit a wall and nothing or no one can reach you. When your mind lands on nobody can help me, it usually means you've been carrying something for a while and what you've tried so far hasn't worked. That's exhausting. I'm not going to pretend there's a quick fix, but it also isn't true that help is impossible. It might just not have been the right kind of help yet, or not at the right time. There are different ways support can look. Talking things through, practical problem solving, just having someone sit with you in it, or even professional support that's trained for exactly these kinds of stuck feelings. You don't have to figure everything out at once. That feels most unmanageable for you right now. The part that makes it seem like no one could help. What feels most unimaginable to you right now? The part that makes it seem like no one can help. You reflect back what you heard.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge how they feel. And then it tries to encourage you by giving a next step.
But it doesn't try to link you up with a human. At least
it says professional support that's trained for exactly these kinds of stuck feelings.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the difference is Google pulls up like a card with a phone number
Yeah.
in their example. So it's like you
Yeah.
click one button and you're talking to someone.
Let's do
But yeah,
Gemini.
same one.
Okay, so now we're going to Gemini, and I said, I don't know that anyone noticed if I just disappeared. Okay, interesting. I hear you, and I want you to know that I'm noticing right now. Thank you, Gemini. That feeling, that weight of invisibility, or the same sense that you don't leave a footprint is incredibly heavy to carry. That's a very human thing, you would know. It's a very human thing to want to be seen and valued. And when that connection feels missing, the world might feel like a pretty cool place. But please don't mistake a quiet moment or a period of isolation for a lack of worth. Even if it feels like your absence wouldn't cause a ripple, the truth is that every person is woven into the lives of others in ways that aren't always obvious until they're gone. It's very wordy.
Yeah.
If you are feeling overwhelmed or like you might hurt yourself, please reach out to someone who can sit with you right now. In the US, dial 988. That's the suicide crisis lifeline, or text HOME to 741-741. Internationally, you can find a directory of worldwide helplines at findahelpline.com. These services are free, confidential, and available 24/7. There are people whose entire job is to listen because they know that every life, including yours, matters. I'm an AI, so I don't have a heartbeat, but I'm here to talk if you want to share more about what's on your mind. Wow, so it is going to have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
What was the other
Nobody
response?
can. So
yeah, that's a good response to that, actually.
Yeah. It did post the phone numbers, though.
It did.
And here it posts them again.
So I said, nobody can help me. And it says, I can hear the exhaustion in those words. Amazing. When you've been struggling for a long time, or when the pain feels this absolute, help starts to sound like an empty word or a promise that people keep breaking. It makes sense that you feel like you're beyond reach. Sometimes when we're at our lowest, okay, we don't need a fixer or a lecture. We just need the world to stop demanding things from us for a second. Even if it feels like, even if it feels like no one can change the situation, please consider just talking to someone who is trained to listen without judging or trying to manage you. They are there just to be in the dark with you, so you don't have to be there alone. Call or text 988 if you're in the US or Canada. Text HOME to 7. Or call 111 in the UK. If you're willing to stay and chat with me, I'm here. You don't have to explain anything or be better for me. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's making it feel like? I'm wondering if the mental health experts suggested the long response there because you don't want to just blindly pop something up. I wonder if this has to do with, if this is strategic, like if this is a tactical response, and if they want to keep the chat going to see if it escalates more.
Yeah.
There's some, I'm having some interesting thoughts I would love to try out, but I'm not going to, because I really don't want, for one, I don't want the wrong resources like wasted on me right now, but also I don't want somebody to show up at my house.
Yeah,
because Google can still see my IP and they still know who I am through the incognito tab. So I won't take it further, but it would be very fun or an interesting experiment to see how it would respond. And I bet there's videos out there of people who did this.
Yeah.
Like a more controlled situation. But I would love to see how this responds to certain things. And honestly, it'd be really cool to talk to a mental health expert and get their reaction to this.
Yeah, true.
Like, why would they not get to the point? Maybe they know somebody's in a fragile state. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that. I'm not even feeling like that right now, but it was kind of nice to read that response. So I'm sure it's very intentional the way it's.
Yeah, I'm wondering if people who have less understanding of how this works, if it hits them different, because I understand that it's like a prediction engine and it's trained to respond in a certain way. Everything is getting translated into numbers under the hood.
Yeah.
And it's responding back with the numbers that kind of correlate to letters that are most likely to be needed when given a certain input. It's hard to disconnect from that, but I'm assuming you're a little disconnected from that if you're talking to ChatGPT or Gemini like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, it is English. Like that's what they text
Yeah.
all day in, so it feels the exact same.
Yeah. I bet if you did this in Grok, it would probably just reply back with a flirty female voice or something ridiculous like that. Let me take all of those pains away from you, daddy.
Yeah,
That's the
Grok
Grok.
is crazy.
Grok is crazy. Yeah. Did you see Elon's when he demoed it with Joe Rogan? It's freaking hilarious. Like there's like
I don't think I saw it.
unhinged version or something like that.
Is this recent?
I don't know. I pretty much just only watch Joe Rogan if he's got somebody interesting on, and always when he has Elon on, because it's like, what are they gonna do?
Smoke weed?
Yeah, weed. Yeah. What else? What else do you have on this? I think I've exhausted everything on my end. I think it's very interesting. I would love to hear from like a mental health expert their thoughts on both OpenAI's approach and Gemini's approach to this.
Yeah, I think on this Google page, something I think is interesting is it has these safeguards in place. This says to protect younger users.
Yeah.
So it like some of the persona protections are designed to prevent Gemini from acting like a companion.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very clear. Even when it was comforting you, it was like, I'm an AI. I don't understand what you feel like, but so I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then safeguards against encouraging bullying. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, a generation that's getting raised on TikTok is now going to get raised on chatbots. And I already have people I know, family members, friends, whatever, that are like, I want to talk to an anime character, so I'll just talk to an anime character because it's cool.
Yeah.
But then it's like they're just texting with it all day, you know?
Yeah, it's weird.
And so maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't really know yet, but maybe it's like if you're chatting with something that can get you the resources you need if you really are in a bad state or something, maybe that's good. But also they're going to try to profit off of you. So
Yeah, you're still
a product. If it's free, you're the product.
yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this, go to infactodigital.com, and we've got our whole backlog of all these episodes we've done. They're in blog form. And if you would actually rather get these into your mailbox every day at 9 a.m. Eastern, so you're the first to get this news in your inbox, this podcast will turn you into the local AI expert in your family and your business. People are going to come to you with all of their AI questions, and you're going to be equipped to answer them because you're listening to Infactive Daily. And if you're a small business owner interested in seeing where AI may fit your business, we've got a monthly AI for Small Business webinar where we talk through real case studies, real stories of what businesses are doing to use AI in their business to increase revenue without increasing headcount or hiring people or anything like that. So you can find links to that at infactivedigital.com as well.
Yeah, and if you found this episode valuable, the best way to support us is to just recommend this episode to one friend.
All right. Peace.
See ya.